Next up in our Women in WordPress series, I'm speaking with Ray Morey. Ray, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to finally talk to you face to face. We've chatted so many times, and it's hard to believe we haven't had this opportunity before, but it's really nice to
I
see you.
know. It's so great. Yeah.
So, for people who might not know who you are, I don't know who those might be, but if they don't know who you are, can you tell us where you're located and what you do with WordPress?
So my name is Ray Morey. I write the repository. It started as a email newsletter about 5 years ago, and in the past few months, I've relaunched it as a new site. So I cover everything that's happening with WordPress. Yeah,
Yeah. And
bit of
you're
everything
located,
at the moment.
yeah.
Oh, and yes, I'm located in Melbourne, Australia, so near the bottom of Australia.
Yeah, very good. It's nice to have
Mm.
people all over the world, women all over the world I've been speaking with. And as I was telling you before we started recording, I feel like we're a force to be reckoned with. There's women everywhere who bring strength to WordPress, and it's really cool to connect with everybody.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, in my line of work, I talk to so many people, but it's always really nice connecting with women who are just doing really impressive stuff. And there are a lot
agreed.
of women doing impressive stuff across WordPress. Yeah.
And what's really neat in your position, and a little bit with what I do with Post Status, is you get to really report on what women are doing, and seeing what they're doing. And what when I will admit to you, I read your newsletter cover to cover, like start to finish, right? There are a couple I skim in the community, but yours I read from the top to the bottom. I will say I do look out for my name because every once in a while I do something that you deem newsworthy, which makes me happy. But
There are a few
but
people
I'm
who do that.
but I'm also looking at everybody, of course, and I'm looking for women because I like to see when women are doing
Mm,
things that are newsworthy and are brave enough to tell people what they're doing so that we see it and
mm.
pick up on it and include it as well. So thank you for all you do on reporting what's going
Oh,
on in
thank you.
WordPress. And
Thank you. I
there's
think that's a good point, though. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of women, there are a lot of women who just quietly get on with it and don't make a big fuss and aren't very good at their own marketing. And
exactly.
I've found that there are a lot of, and completely generalizing here, but there are a lot of
Mhm.
men who will put themselves out there and women who feel like they have to do more to prove themselves. And I'm
Yeah.
always saying to women I know and women I've mentored in the past, like put yourself out there. Otherwise, a man's going to put himself in that space, and
Yeah.
that's it's just a matter of having the confidence in what you offer to the world, and I think that's really
Mhm.
important for women to remember.
I agree. I did a talk on International Women's Day, and the one thing I put in there, I quoted myself, if I might, to say, no one is as invested in your future as you are. So if you don't talk about who you
100%.
are, nobody else is going to be doing it for you. You need to make sure people know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
100% agree with that.
Yeah, and you, as you said, you've made the shift from like basic newsletter to actual news site, which is exciting. You've been doing a lot of reporting this year on, dare I say, WP drama. And I'm not going to get into the WP drama, but I
Mhm.
will say, um, with everybody have like being so polarized, so many people being so polarized on this, kudos to you for really writing from a place of neutrality as much as anybody can, right? I mean, we all have opinions in our head, but yours don't come through as I read them. And to write from a place of neutrality, as a journalist should, really speaks highly of you. So thank you for being that voice in our
Yeah,
community.
thank you. I'm so glad you think that because that's what I'm really trying to achieve with the repository. Um, it's not just a blog. I really want it to be a news site that's
Yeah.
recording like this history in this period of WordPress. And yeah, I mean, my background is newspaper journalism. That's how I got my start when I was in another life in my 20s and 30s, and so that's kind of what I know about writing. I mean, I've worked
Yeah.
in marketing, but I love journalism and I just want to put stories out there that kind of address what's actually happening. I know
Hmm.
there are lots of different sides, but it's interesting to see how a lot of what's happening with this drama is being interpreted. And
Hmm.
I think it's really important to step back and look at what's actually happening and yeah, and try and report it accurately, as possible. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
completely objective. Nobody can be, but I can try.
Exactly.
I try. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I had a creative writing teacher once said to me, even if you report your own life story, it's fictionalized to some extent. And I
Yeah.
because you're remembering things that may or may not be accurate and you're portraying things
Yeah.
from your memory, not somebody else's outside observation. And I think that that is true of writing for this too, is you can only keep yourself out of it so much because you're not a robot. And so,
Yeah.
but to try to keep things as neutral as possible. And I think you've done a really good job at that. So thank you for all of
Yeah.
that.
Thanks.
Yeah. So why WordPress? Why is WordPress something that intrigues you or that you lead into or, you know, why is WordPress important to
I'm a
you?
turtle nerd. When I was at school, and I think I can't remember if I wrote. Oh, I did. I wrote about this in my Hero Press essay, but I was when I was growing up, I was always into books and reading, and I knew pretty early on that I wanted to work as a journalist. But I also, my parents were into computers, and so I got into computers. And then when I went to university, I couldn't decide whether I wanted to pursue journalism or IT, mostly like front end development. So I
Mhm.
did both. I can't remember what that saying is in Spanish, but yeah, I did both. So when I graduated, I went off to be a journalist, but always just wanted to, yeah, always wanted to build websites, and so pretty early on, I got into using WordPress. I wanted to, like a lot of people, and start a blog, and then ended up making websites for friends and non-profit like volunteer groups that I was involved in, and then uh, after I finished working at a newspaper job in Melbourne, I decided I needed a bit of a change, and so I went to work for WPMU Dev
Mhm.
in the WordPress space, looking after their blog, and so that's kind of where I started working with WordPress professionally.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, WordPress was just, I use Blogger. I've used a lot of different
Yeah.
tools, over the years to make sites and to start blogs, and WordPress just stuck. It's just a great, I don't even know what else I would use now. I've tried lots
Yeah.
of different tools and I always just come back to WordPress. And
Understandable.
I love the block editor. I know that's
Me
controversial in
too.
some circles, but I love it. I know it
Same.
can be frustrating sometimes, but I just love figuring ways around and
Hmm.
hacking things. So yeah, that's kind of how I fell into WordPress, just like a lot of
Nice.
people, just dabbling.
The fact that we have such a big community and such a big ecosystem built around an open source like WordPress really does lend itself to stories and reporting and
Mhm.
news too, doesn't it? As opposed to like Microsoft
Yeah.
or, other platforms like Wix or something. I can't imagine there being like a newsletter about Wix
Mhm.
users, the same way that we can do that around WordPress. So I
Yeah.
think,
Well, that's the thing. I think like, there's the community of contributors that work on WordPress. There's the business community, and yeah, there's just lots of different people involved, and just the websites that you see built with WordPress as well, how it's used in so many different ways. There are
yeah,
so many just amazing examples of how WordPress is being used. I mean, I love what's happening in Africa, how it's being used in ICT education, and then recently with WordCamp Asia, we saw that the Philippines would really love to incorporate WordPress into their education
yeah.
system. I'm half Filipino, so it's like, yay, that's
Oh,
amazing.
cool.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love that WordPress is giving people opportunities with building businesses and careers, and yeah, it's there's so many good news stories. I don't want to
Yeah.
report on the drama all the time. I
No,
want
I
to have
know.
more time to dig into this, and yes, launched the repository last October, like my plan was to write more of these stories, but I've
Yeah.
kind of been sidetracked with a lot of everything else that's going on. But definitely
Understandably.
there's so many WordPress communities that are doing amazing things. Like in India, there's so much going on there as well
Oh my
with
goodness, yeah.
WP Connect Campus. Am I saying that right? Yeah, like helping so many school children and people at universities, high schools learning how to use
Yeah,
WordPress. I think it's amazing. So many great stories.
absolutely. And you mentioned the careers, and so my next question is about women in careers. For those women who might be thinking about or just starting a career in tech and WordPress specifically, what advice might you offer to them?
Oh, I mean, these days, I guess in tech, you don't really have to have a university degree so much
Mhm.
anymore. It's really interesting, trying to get into this sector. Um, my advice would be find something that you really love doing and I, my mum's Filipino, right? So I grew up being told, just to follow my heart and do what Filipinos are very happy-go-lucky. Follow
Yeah.
your heart and do what makes you happy. So for me, that was always writing and doing making websites and working with WordPress. So yeah, find your niche. I guess that's what I've done with the repository as well. Find your niche and network. I think the important thing too is really networking. That's not something I didn't
Yeah.
really know about in my 20s, but join communities, ask for help, talk to people, offer to collaborate with people. All of that helps with expanding who you know, and a lot of jobs
Mhm.
are often who you know. They're not always
Absolutely.
advertised. So joining communities and yeah, there are so many different ways to get involved with WordPress as well, from WordCamps and joining events to, I mean, like in Melbourne, in the process of organising dinners and get-togethers and
Oh,
things.
nice.
So there's always ways to network with people, and from there you can find opportunities. So I think that's really important.
I agree. Absolutely. Well, Ray, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day, your morning, as it were, and my evening to connect together and to share some of your story and some advice and some of your outlook on what's happening with WordPress. I really appreciate you.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Really appreciate you. And thanks for having me on.
My
And
pleasure.
happy, hang on, Women's History Month, right, in the
Yes,
US.
Women's History Month. Yes, thank
Yes.
you. Thanks.